Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Everyone is understandably and rightly upset with how Chelsea are trending. I've been talking to loads of people about it online, social media, in real life. People in my life, I come from family of Chelsea fans, close friends and family of Chelsea fans. Obviously, huge talking point. I feel, and I got to be real, guys, I feel really bad about everything at the moment. I feel more distrustful now than I did with the Graham Potter disaster season, and because I could kind of write that off as just transitional madness, yeah, like that was okay. Well, this is a disaster, but this is because loads of things are changing. But we seem to have settled into a plan that might have positive elements, but I'm really distrusting. Lots of people are talking about protests, just some form of, I don't know, trying to induce change, and which really telling, because at time of recording, Chelsea are in the top four, but it's not about that. It's about poor squad building. It's really it just the model is just lacking. There was too many risks taken. And understandably, people are really worried and concerned. I do want to speak about this. Chelsea Twitter account, CFCPYS or CFC Pice, I don't know if you say it like that, wrote an interesting tweet about to Todd Boehly, message to Todd Boehly, and it's an interesting topic. I really, really want to pick up on it. I'm not going to read his tweet, it's long, but he speaks about how Chelsea were essentially sold Todd Boehly when Abramovich was sanctioned and the club was seized, and I think it is really worth talking about that, because the plan, the project and everything, it has little to no believers left, and I've been very firm on how I like elements of what the new ownership and structure want to do. There's stuff that I've been calling for since the Abramovich era. I've obviously been doing this since 2018. But it isn't like this tweet basically sparked me thinking, yeah, this isn't what we were sold, right? And I don't mean necessarily the project, the young players, the sporting directors and all that. I mean the Chelsea owners, because we know there was the war. There's this sort of civil war going on that's sort of gone a bit quiet, and certainly went very quiet when Chelsea had a good run of form the first half of the season. So there's Todd Boehly and there's Clearlake Capital. And of course there are other players. There's Jose Feliciano, which is the partner of Bedadig Bali and Clearlake. And of course there's Walter and Hans-Jörg Weiss, which are Todd Boehly's sort of side. Chelsea lost Abramovich. He's not coming back. Yeah, he's gone. I don't know how many times over the last 2.5 years I've had to say that. But he's gone, right? He's gone, his posse's gone, and everything's gone. What's left is Chelsea and Chelsea's history and Chelsea's allure, Chelsea's draw. And I've used this example before. I think there's been a lot of damage done. I don't think it's irreparable at all. And I understand why the new owners, to a degree, because of the controversy, wanted to clear out in terms of the personnel, starting getting rid of Abramovich's lieutenants or whatever. I understand why they, as new owners, would want a clean start in terms of hierarchy, all their hires. I get it, I can see it from their business perspective, but I've used this example before. The thing with Chelsea is we had a winning culture, right? It was ingrained in us, yeah. So there would be the superstars, the Drogbas, the Lampards, Terrys, Czechs, Balaks, Essiens, and then it obviously went to John Obi Mikel's, and probably most saliently in terms of transition, it went to Cesar's Piliqueta. Standards, knew about winning, captained Chelsea to a Champions League win, also bled into, your N'Golo Kante's, your Nemanja Matic's, your Eden Hazard's, even Pedro and Williams. You laugh now, but these were the standards. The winning culture was bled into these new generations that we completely wiped away. I've used the example that when, certain pizzerias, they use old bits of dough because of the bacteria or whatever it is to make the new dough, or people would do that with yogurt and dairy products. They're always constantly bringing in the same bacteria and stuff that bleeds into the new stuff. And you could have said that with Chelsea, it keeps the winning culture going. But we got a sanitised cloth and we wiped the whole surface of Chelsea, and we lost all remnants of that winning culture. I mean, and that's gone. So how do you bring that back? Well, you bring in some winners, yeah. And it makes me thinking about the project. And like I said, I like elements of it. I like signing Cole Palmer. We wouldn't have done that under Abramovich. We probably wouldn't have signed Estevan Willian either, or Andre Santos. I like all that. It's not all awful, but it's seemingly problematic now to a point where lots of Chelsea fans are understandably frustrated. And I wanted to speak about this ownership thing because Abramovich goes, he's not coming back. So we were presented as Chelsea fans with some options, and it was generally accepted, broadly accepted, that Todd Boehly was the best option for Chelsea. And this isn't Clear Lake Capital. We learned about Clear Lake Capital. We learned about the money later. But let's start with Todd, yeah? Todd Boehly was the face. I always said he was the guy outside Stamford Bridge, kissing babies, shaking hands like, the president. He was the one going to games, being seen, chatting to Chelsea fans about, yeah, we're going to win. We're going to, look at me, I run the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a winning machine. We're a relentlessly winning sports team. I understand Chelsea are winning. I'm going to make Chelsea win as well. We want continuity, longevity. And, he brought in Danny Finkelstein, Barbara Sharon, these lifelong Chelsea fans, put them on the board, and the vibes were good. The projection was good. Remember there was the No to Ricketts Chelsea-led fan campaign. We really didn't want the Ricketts family. Pagliuca looked weak. The Saudi media group bid turned out to be nonsense anyway, but there's, of course, problematic elements of state ownership. It was Todd. Todd tried to buy Chelsea before, years ago, off Roman Abramovich when he thought maybe there's a price. And actually, there was a time when Roman did consider selling, but that's another story, yeah? That's another story. So, Todd Boehly was the guy, yeah? We all thought he's the guy. He's tried to buy Chelsea before. He wants Chelsea. He runs a winning sports team. He's built a board that has Chelsea fans on. Of course, Roman's board was like him and his sort of goons, really, wasn't it? It was like him and Tenenbaum and Bruce Buck and stuff like that. And again, I'm saying at the time, I'm taking you back in time, this is how a lot of Chelsea fans felt. Our owner, who had been so good to us, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to get into the geopolitical ramifications of Abramovich, whatever, and he's currently facing other tax stuff. But in isolation, from a Chelsea fan experience, he didn't buy Chelsea to make money. He bought Chelsea because he loved football. He wanted a club in London, and he wanted a club that won. Chelsea fans, sporting in isolation, of course you're going to enjoy that, yeah? But we looked to the alternatives, and Todd Boehly was the best. But we didn't think, how would we have known about the looming, Bedadik Barley figure that was going to muscle in so profoundly? At the time we were sold this guy who put in Chelsea fans on the board, who runs a successful sporting team, who, Abramovich didn't have a visa, did he? Couldn't go to the stadium. This guy's going to go to Chelsea games. He's going to wave at Chelsea fans. He's going to cheer Chelsea on. He's going to be present at Stamford Bridge. Todd Boehly's Chelsea is a new dawn. Let's see what we can do here, And from what we know and what we've learnt, Todd obviously became interim sporting director for that first transfer window, and he just really tried to please Thomas Tuchel. Now, again, in the same way, I'm not going to reminisce so much about Abramovich. I'm not going to reminisce about Thomas Tuchel because, of course, there's been recurring stories that Tuchel had to go for some reasons that have been unpublished, that are behind NDAs, that his wife nearly leaked or whatever. Like, Tuchel apparently had to go. He had to leave Chelsea. Right, fine, whatever. But Todd Boehly was interim sporting director, and he did the kind of transfer window that Chelsea fans would probably really like now. It was a failure, yeah, but he went for Aubameyang, Koulibaly. Do you know what I mean? Raheem Sterling. That was a Tuchel signing. Tuchel really wanted Raheem Sterling. He was very firm on that. Tuchel said so many times he was my target, number one target. I wanted Raheem Sterling. He got him. So he gave him Sterling. But these, all these sort of players, they were kind of failures, aren't they? But is that kind of right? Chelsea are big. We need big names. We need superstars to make a winning team. That was Todd. And we know that was Todd because he was interim sporting director. Now, look, it was a failure and it was a mistake and it hamstrung us financially and we shouldn't do a lot of that again. But Todd probably learned from that. And what we've done instead, we've gone so radically the opposite direction, in terms of structure, acquisitions, young players, that it just seems like surely there's just the middle ground here. Do you know what I mean? You can have this idea of bringing in young players, having a portfolio of young players making money. If people don't like that, it's fine, it's cynical. Abramovich enjoyed Chelsea making loads of money through sales, player sales. It's okay to buy players and sell them and make money, whatever, fine. But it's almost like you need to mix, like, get Todd back in with a little bit of that, you know what? Let's get these good players and put them on higher wages, because this is, you can't have a 3-year learning period. So look, we're at the position now where the sporting directors are constantly pictured with Todd Boehly, who is Clear Lake Capital. We don't see Todd anymore. There was the war of the owners where, they wanted to buy each other out, and actually everyone was like, well, Clear Lake owns 60% of Chelsea, they're going to buy Todd out. But there was this idea that Todd Boehly could buy Clear Lake Capital out. Certainly that was the story he was pushing. Of course, he would need new investment. Todd's only worth like a few billion or whatever, where Clear Lake Capital are worth like hundreds of billions or something like that. Todd would need to bring in new people, and he would need to essentially try and reassert himself, because he is still CEO of Chelsea, or chairman of Chelsea, isn't he? He's still chairman, I think. So like, it's difficult to say definitively what's happening, but there's this idea, this narrative that Todd is the guy who wanted to sign some more superstars. Maybe to his discredit sometimes, where it was just a damaging waste of money and we were bad. But this idea of maybe you need some good guys in there. And then, of course, this completely radicalized opposite model of, no, you want to find the value in these players. And when they're good, you'll be so ahead of the game. You'll be financially strong. You can buy the odd superstar. You can have them for longer because you get them when they're young. This is the way you hack the game, and then we're better than everyone. But there's such an error of arrogance to it. There's an assumption, there's risk. And it really makes you think, like, would we be in a better position if it was just... financially, we might have had restraints, PSR problems, because we'd still be, a few players, big players on big wages that we can't sell, and they're not playing well for Chelsea. But you do feel like there should have been this middle ground. I must say, I am not like a Todd Boehly super fan. I like some of the stuff he said before. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I like some of the stuff he said before. I don't like some of the stuff he said before as well. But at least he seems like this guy who runs successful sports franchises. I know American sports are different to football. I know they are. But at least he was that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like but Todd Boehly's seemingly this money. He wants to get involved. He wants to swing his dick around. Sorry to swear. Do you know what I mean? But he seems like that guy who gets involved in negotiations and makes sure we get Mudryk over the line in a deal that could go up to 88 million quid just because he wants to be involved. I'm not going to pretend like I know all the ins and outs and goings of the ownership, because it would be silly of me to do so. But, there's externally, purely from the outside looking in, there's an air that looks like the optics of an air of arrogance with all this part of it, And like I said, I need to be honest, I need to be firm, I need to maintain my position that I've always had. I like elements of what they're trying to do and stuff that I've always called for, but, looking at these last 2 games against Brighton, and look, we might finish the season well, turn it all around. Maresca does something really impressive and innovative, and we secure top 5 and we win the conference. Success, big green tick. But watching those 2 games against Brighton, I think's really personified the issue for Chelsea fans. Just these young players that just don't have a winning DNA in them yet. They've had no one to learn how to win from. And do you know what that means? It means they're learning to be losers. Which is tough. And that's worrying. Look, like I said, it's not terminal. Chelsea are not in FFP problems. They've got players to sell. Still, a massive club. come to South London's a great place to live, and it's not all over. Do you know what I mean? And we're not. And look, the clash of Manchester United and Tottenham's coming up. They are in worse positions than us. Do you know what I mean? So it's not all lost, but I think there's just this concern of direction. Look, a few wins, a big striker signing in the summer, and friggin' something else, and people calm down. But at the moment, I can totally understand the mood, and I did want to just reflect on that concept of Boehly and Iqbali and talk about, is there a difference there? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's tough, guys. Everyone's annoyed, understandably. I am really annoyed. It's ruining my... I love Chelsea so much, and I love talking about them, and it's got me a full-time job talking about Chelsea from having a podcast when years and years, best part of 10 years ago, whatever it was, and then YouTube, and it's great, but I know I'm speaking to a sea of people that feel really disappointed and sad and frustrated like me, that are also having their weekends ruined, and I know it's just life, it's just football, but I'm like you, man. I'm just like you. Just like you. Just sitting in my house, talking about, feeling the same way you're feeling, talking about it, and it sucks. Anyway, interesting thought experiment about Todd Boehly. Was he the guy we were sold? And it's clear the guys we got. Let me know your thoughts, man. Great thing about this channel, though, is I've cultivated a great viewership of wonderful football thinkers. So do leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you back here soon, hopefully. Peace.